Shivang, so you're going to be talking about BIM planning, obviously, but the act to depollute BIM. I love it.
Yes.
A nice, catchy, something that we have too much pollution in our BIM world. I think we've talked about some of this pollution in the first part of this day, and we also actually was raised about getting the right amount of BIM at the right time. So Aileen talked about the right information at the right time, the right place, but in a useful way, because you could get most of that right, but if you don't have it in a format and the timing, then it really does pollute that workflow. So looking forward to hearing more from you, Shivang. I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Clive. Yeah. Hello all, good evening from India. And let me share my screen. Usually we forget to plan. We completely forget the importance of planning. And my session is going to be more about, what is the importance of planning? Because the market where I am representing, usually the situation is people hardly think that they have to plan. I was attending one of the panel discussions last week also, and there I was surprised that people were talking more about authoring and modeling and extracting drawings, but nobody talked about planning, like how to plan. So then this came to my mind that does it even matter, BIM planning? What you do in planning or why you need to plan is where I have to first, emphasize on in my market at least. And I would want to share kind of what we are going through in this industry. So this is exactly what happens, Someone says, I am using Revit, I'm on cloud, BIM is for big project, we do LOD 500 in all our design projects. So eventually they all are blind and just seeing their part of piece, or someone is looking at the leg of the elephant, someone is looking at the tail of the elephant, and they all feel that we are doing BIM. But this is not just the part of pollution. There is another deadlier part which we encounter. And I'm sure all of you must have encountered this multiple times. Like, I can take examples of companies from large to small to medium, whatever size and scale and type of project, starting from national importance project till a project of multi-story residential. I have encountered this, which is not having the information at all. Like, this is an example, one floor of a multi-story apartment. This building is 45 plus floors and 8 residential apartments on each floor. And this is the situation of, the information. What is the information? Another project, see, this is technically an appliance. But if you see, the information says it is furnishing element. The same thing, not defined. So we have also encountered situations like this. And just to share, we associated with this project as a BIM coordinator, and our scope of work included checking the quality of the project, both model wise as well as information wise. And this is what we get from those who make these BIM models. So technically we have encountered that usually we see two kind of examples. One is elements which are not defined at all. There is no element which is defined. Nobody cares. Nobody thinks that we have to define the element. We have to classify them. We have to, key in the information. It cannot be empty container. Otherwise, there is no point. If we don't plan the entire process, there is no point. And there is another example, which is like, they use usually same element on various floors, but they are defined differently. So eventually, in a nutshell, the reason is, or rather the end result is this, ultimately they keep fighting. Somebody says, where is the information? The other guy says, we have already submitted a file. Eventually, we see in our market that, I would not say 100%, but more than 85% cases, there is a BIM model submitted without the information. So for me, it is more or less a building model done with a simple 3D modeling software or something like that. So we have encountered this kind of situation multiple times. And so eventually this, this comes into a play. Like I was talking to a very large scale real estate and construction company last week, and they were like, okay, fine. We have to define information. We have to plan our BIM process. We have to plan our project. But how do we do it? So I asked them, how are you doing it right now? And who is the responsible for it? So they clearly stated that we are doing it using these tools, spreadsheets, emails, various separate files, PowerPoint presentations. But is it even helping? So to my experience, it's not helping. So then my point is, where, how can we do it? So this is what we do. All the projects that we are dealing with, we are using it. I mean, we are planning it from day one before even we start or anyone else start using the authoring tool. This is more important. How you plan your project. What are the information requirements? What are the documentation? How do you agree to your contracts, your scope of work? So this is how eventually all this needs to be done. And my part of the world is still learning this, and yeah, this is the same model that I showed you, multi-story apartment. So this is our project, our process that we are following for clean, lean BIM. We call it clean and lean BIM. So we always insist to start from plannerly, use IDS, communicate with authoring software. I mean, this case, we have taken example of two products, but it can be anything. But basically, essentially communicate with IDS. So requirements are very clear. And then again, coming back to check and verify via IFC. So this is usually what we do. If someone thinks that planning is important, then only planning can be done. I always believe that anything happens twice, once in your mind and once on actual paper or computer or software. So before we move on to software, it should be clear in our minds that yes, planning is important, and planning is important to depollute. We don't want to see these kind of models and these kind of fights. So that's why planning is important. And that's why I started my presentation with Tom and Jerry, that I strongly believe that if we are not planning, might as well we should, just look at cartoon series and cartoon videos. It will at least give us entertainment. Doing BIM without planning to me is of no use. Without, actually planning the information from starting from conceptual design stage to operate and manage stage, if information is not traveling, and if information travel and information handover is not planned, there is no point doing BIM. At the end, this is what we do in my organization. So we take care of the entire BIM process. We do various products, we do various services. We start with planning, always with Plannerly, and then we use various softwares for the entire BIM process. I think I'll end here. Thank you so much. That's my LinkedIn QR if anyone wants to get in touch and discuss this further. I think in this time, this can be done. Thank you.